Hi, I'm Harold, and this video is the third in a series of videos that I'm doing on this idea that I wanted to have a talk with God. And what this one focuses on is my background, where I started in terms of this journey from the standpoint of the place uh, that I was started in and also the time when my journey began. So I wanted to start the the journey on with you in terms of referencing a song that I heard in the 1970s that was by Stevie Wonder, and one of the lines in the song uh, uh, expressed the idea that you can bet your life in twice its double that God knew exactly where He wanted you to be placed. And for me, where He wanted me to be placed was in the United States, in the south uh, of the country, and during the time of the 1940s, where segregation and other uh, restrictions or challenges were ahead of me. He also placed me in a family that was required to struggle to survive, and that struggle was on an ongoing basis, and most cases on a daily basis, just to have the necessary funds and resources to uh, to exist from one day to the other. And so this this routine within the family had continued for several generations and was handed down to us to deal with limitations on whether or not we could improve our own circumstances. And those limitations came as a result of uh, the environment, which consists of slavery, I mean, not slavery, but segregation at that time, and all that it entailed. And that separation not only separated us in terms of interaction with uh, different people that we came in contact with, but also in terms of um, access to the resources that were available in order for us to begin to struggle, I mean, get out from under this struggle we were in on a regular basis. So this environment that we were placed in not only had uh, limitations in terms of what we could use uh, to, to just survive, but also blocked out any opportunity for us to improve our lot. Uh, and then the idea of uh, interaction and the treatment we got as human beings became another one of those restrictions that limited our ability to succeed. And with that environment, with those restrictions, what we ended up with understanding is that um, uh, this continuation of the routine and the efforts of our parents and our grandparents that was handed down to us uh, had a likelihood that it would continue for quite some time. So to exist in this environment, uh, for me, it was important to understand what was given to us for our ability to continue just surviving in this land. And so I wanted to focus on the fact that when we started this journey of ours, uh, there were certain gifts and blessings that were given to us so that we could at least manage the current status of what we had to deal with. And in the blessing category, one of the things I saw was that God had blessed us with the ability, uh, physically and all of the other abilities that were handed down at birth for us to be able to succeed in life and overcome or succeed in this journey that we were on. And then the other one, other area of importance was what was handed down to us uh, from our family, our parents, our grandparents, and so forth. What did we inherit from them, or what was going to be passed on to us from them that gave us an indication of what they used to survive? And so, with those uh, two areas of talents and skills that were given to us, it then became how up to us as to how we were going to use it. Uh, First thing, I think, in reference to using those skills and talent, was to acknowledge and recognize this new environment that we were in, and some cases, same old environment from what our parents did and so forth. The one focus in using those skills was on providing security and the things needed just to survive in this environment that we found ourselves in. And so a lot of our efforts at that time was really focused on a daily uh, goal or objective of just going out and finding a way to acquire money or resources to go to uh, feeding the family and providing a place to just lay our heads. Well, considering that this family that I was born into, we were uh, what might be considered a sharecropping family that went from farm to farm and farm owner, uh, identifying places that we could apply these skills and talents just to earn a living or earn a bit of a income to be able to feed ourselves each day and so forth. Uh, so that process took a lot of our time and effort and those talents that I talked about just to be able to survive. And then at the same time, in this environment that's, that we found ourselves in, was a devotion to the concept of religion and its teaching about what God wanted from us and expected of us as we journeyed through this life of ours. And what we found there, that the hope in terms of what it taught us was in the afterlife, that we could begin to look forward to our rewards uh, once our time here on earth was done in the in the afterlife. And so until then, the reference from a standpoint of religion was that you accepted where you were and continued on that cycle from from your generation, but also the next generation in struggling to survive. So for me, it was a matter of looking at it as when I accepted and saw these two uh, things that were ahead of me, I began to wonder: is there any way, anything that is there to indicate we could change this place we found ourselves in? And the one thing that gave me a little bit of hope was that in the environment that I was placed in was uh, again in the rural South, and in the area. that provided an opportunity to just go out and explore life and what it was all about by exploring and discovering what was in the universe. So with with that opportunity, we should do quite a few things in terms of just enjoying the little bit of openness and opportunity that was there to discover what was in this environment. So ours happened to be in the South in an area that provided a place to a place of discovery in the woods, in the fields, the animals that were around, and uh, getting an idea of what the lay of this land was. And so we took advantage of that early on because we could, from a kid standpoint, because we were limited in being able to contribute to this ongoing struggle for survival. So we took the opportunity to go on these journeys of discovery. And we ran into quite a few different things on this journey. And I guess one that comes to mind that I'd like to share with you is that in this uh, daily adventure of ours, one of those adventures led us to across a field to come across a old rotten tree, and it was there, and I did anyway. Decided I wanted to stick my hand in the hollow part of it to see if I could feel anything around in there. Well, all of a sudden something bit me and my hand began to swell up to the point where we got, as kids, got afraid. And so we ran back home uh, to get some help. Well, help had to come within the family unit because this environment that we were in with segregation and everything did not provide a hospital or a doctor that was available to us as Black Americans to be able to get the assistance we needed. And in the extreme cases where we had to get that kind of help, we had to travel miles and miles to get to a place or a city that would offer those kind of services. So this incident with my hand, we uh, just had to let it uh, take care of itself and see what would happen. Well, it just so happened, what happened was it healed itself over time. And that healing process uh, taught me a lesson that was very important for my journey through life and my discovery of uh, the power uh, that was around us if we relied on it. And that was that if we allowed nature, God, to take care of us and have faith that He would heal us when needed, if we let that process happen, we'll find that that's just as reliable in the area of taking care of our health as going to a doctor and so forth. And for us, we never had a doctor, official doctor or hospital for most of my schooling years. And I somehow was able to rely on that faith that whatever illness that I had, that it would be taken care of. So it became a habit for me to recognize um, that that process was available to me if I relied upon it. The other idea I talked about in this environment was the one of which segregation was a part of it. And in that um, in that part of the environment, it meant that there were restrictions on our ability to interact with others in that environment that weren't like us, blacks, black Americans, white Americans. And in fact, in that environment was an opinion that somehow we were different and therefore less than the other group. And I kind of never really accepted or understood that way of thinking. And I still personally don't today, other than it represents a need for someone to have a sense of superiority or importance that only can come from making someone else smaller. But how I took that was the fact that uh, people with that attitude uh, didn't want to associate with me, but I didn't want to associate with them, but I wasn't going to adopt their philosophy that they were better than me. It's just they didn't want to recognize who I was, so I'd accept that that was their right to do it. But it would not change my approach in life and what was ahead for me on my journey, which I look forward to and enjoy. So I kind of adopted that approach to uh, this journey that I have been on that satisfies me and focuses on what was my purpose in life and what was ahead for me. And so that led me to ask the question about what is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? And uh, what was it for me to do with it? I'd like, before getting into that, I'd like to cut this video here in half because this becomes a longer discussion that in the end needs to be uh, broken up into pieces so that get tired of listening to it or me tired of talking about it. So I'll cut the conversation here and then pick it up in the next part of this video stream that's on my background. So I hope you stay with me and listen to the next segment of it. We'll see you then.